He has won 6 in a row in the UFC, 10 in a row overall, winner of the Ultimate Fighter just a couple of seasons ago. He's making a lot of noise in the welterweight division. Impressive victories in the cage, impressive on the mic, coming off a win just a couple of weeks ago in Pittsburgh. We're talking to the Nigerian nightmare himself, Kamaru Usman, right now, who joins us via the magic of Skype. Kamaru, how are you?
Great, Ariel. Thanks for having me on the show. What took you so long, man?
Yeah, you don't seem very happy to be on the show. Where's the smile? I see it coming there. What? There it is.
What took you so long, Ariel? Like, what's going on?
I was waiting for a finish. I needed something spectacular, and you gave me something spectacular in Pittsburgh. That was it.
We were waiting for a finish. I came into the UFC with a finish. Like, come on, man.
So you weren't feeling the love, right? You weren't. Now you feel like there's a lot of Johnny-come-latelys like myself.
Nah, man, Ariel. We've actually even shared workout rooms together, man. And you just, you've been passing me up. You just, every time I go out there and dominate an opponent, you're just like, just like those casual fans, which I don't expect you to be a casual fan, but just like those casual fans, you've been putting me off to the side, Ariel. I don't know how I feel about that.
All right. Well, now here I am. It's an olive branch of sorts. I'm trying to make things right.
All right. We'll start with this.
We'll see. We'll see how it all goes. Do you feel, though, that now you are starting to finally get that attention, like after the win in Pittsburgh? Does it feel like you've gotten everyone's attention?
I'm starting to get the attention of my people. I think the Nigerian community, the African community is starting to get behind me. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's really what I need to kick down any doors, because, the UFC, they've seen the talent. The people here that watch the fights, they've seen my talent. They know what I'm capable of, but, they want to drag their feet, and there's a bunch of politics that's going on in this game. So you know what? I don't really care. As long as my people are starting to see it, then hey, that's good enough for me.
What kind of politics are you talking about?
Man, it's politics, man. I mean, look at those rankings. Like, are you serious? Like, Ariel, do you think I am the 12th best guy in that weight class, in the welterweight division?
No. I mean, but you know about those rankings, right? Have you looked at the people who actually vote on the rankings?
No, I haven't, which I don't know who does. And that's why I said they should be ashamed of themselves, putting those rankings together. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. And personally, not that I give a shit about the rankings, which I really don't, but for the casual fan at home that seem to be flipping channels and come across the UFC and they're like, oh, well, let me watch this fist fight, see what it's like. Oh, that guy's ranked 12th in the country? Who cares? Oh, that guy's ranked 2nd or 3rd in the world? Okay, maybe he might be good. For them, it matters. You know, but for me, it doesn't really mean shit.
So if you were ranking that division, where would you put yourself?
Top 3.
Top 3, really?
Top 3. If not top 3. If not top 3, I would say, because, I would say top 3 are all coming off of losses to the champion, most of all. So I would say no less than 5. Absolutely no less than 5.
Okay, who would you put? Like, let's just say you're 3. Who's 2 and 1? I mean, obviously Woodley is the champion. Who would you put as 2, and who would you put as 1?
Okay, obviously Woodley's 1, and this is me being, because I'm a realist. This is me being realistic. Numbers wise, if I had to really put him down, Damian Maia. He just fought for the title. He ran off, had the longest win streak before myself. And so I would put him as number 2, just coming off of that. And then I would put Wonderboy Thompson.
Wow.
Coming off because he's also coming off of a loss to the champion, fought him twice in close fights. So I would put him at number 3. And then I would put Robbie Lawler at number 4. I mean, Robbie, was the king of the division before Tyron Woodley took that title away from him. I would put him at number 4. I would put myself at number 5. And then, I don't really care who else is below that.
Yeah. Is there something to be said, though? I mean, just throwing it out there, it doesn't feel like you could be upset at myself, and that's fine, the media, the fans, but like, it doesn't feel like when you fight, the UFC is really pushing you. I mean, you're typically fighting on either an undercard of a pay-per-view or a fight night card that's not getting a lot of attention. Like, you've yet to be put in that prime spot where you're getting, the spotlight and the buzz and the media push and all that. Is that fair as well? Like, is it time for them to give you a little love too, promotionally?
I mean, you answer that question. Do you think it's time for them to give me that?
Yeah. Where is it?
I've been ready for that. I've been ready for that. I think, I don't know whether they think, oh, well, he's from Nigeria. We haven't really broken to that market yet. We can't really, sell a lot of fights there, or we don't have a TV contract there. So what's the point of pushing a guy that's from that area in Africa? And so, I like to think that's what it is, because it can't be anything else. You can't say that I don't have the skills. You can't say that. I have the skills. You can't say I don't have the confidence. I have that. You can't say I don't have the belief. I have that. I'm not the ugliest guy in the world.
No.
I'm not. It's not that I'm not marketable. I mean, come on. It makes no sense why they're not doing it, except the fact that they're like, oh, well, we haven't broken to Africa, so you know what? There's no point in pushing somebody from there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I mean, you moved to the States when you were like 5, right? I mean, you're. If someone didn't know anybody,
about 8, yeah.
8, yeah. Okay, so have you asked them what's taking so long?
No, I haven't. I don't. I haven't had conversations with them as far as that, and that's something that I'm going to let my manager. I have a great manager, so that's something I'm going to let him take care of. He does a good job of communicating with them and getting things done, and so I'll let him take care of that part, and I'll worry about what I need to worry about, which is my performances inside that cage.
By the way, I was perusing online yesterday, and speaking of Nigeria, there's an outlet in Nigeria. I think the name was called the Punch or something. I've never heard of this outlet before, but they reported that you are in fact fighting Mike Perry on December 2nd. Is that accurate? The Punch, yes, in Nigeria. Is that accurate?
No, I think they're just speculating, kind of like everybody else has been speculating the last couple of days, because that's a fight I think people want to see eventually.
Yeah. Is that your ideal opponent for your next fight, Mike Perry?
No, absolutely. This is a scenario right now. Like if you go down the rankings, whatever rankings, you go down those rankings, who makes sense? Damian Maia is booked. Wonder Boy is booked. Masvidal is booked. Who makes sense? I train with Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
And so who makes sense? Like you bring in, and this is something that kind of rubs me the wrong way. You bring in RDA after taking 2 L's in lightweight.
Yeah.
He moves up. He fights Safadine, who was ranked, I think, 14th, while I was ranked, I think, 10th at the time. You bring in a guy that's ranked below me, and he goes to a decision with that guy. It was not even an exciting fight. It was, a close fight. He goes to a decision. Then the rankings come out, and RDA is ahead of me. What sense does that make? And then he fights Neil Magny, who I've been calling out for a long time, that just seemed to somehow find a way to duck me, and then fights Neil Magny and finishes Neil Magny in 4 minutes, I believe. And I just killed a guy who also finished Neil Magny faster than he did in the first round. Like, what sense does it make for him to be number 5 in the world where I've literally ran through every guy that I've faced in that division? Yeah. And to make matters worse, Colby Covington's ranked number 8 in the world. Colby Covington almost lost his life in the first round to a guy that I've traveled all the way to Brazil and put a beating on. What sense does that make for him to be ahead of me? Like that makes absolutely no sense to me. If RDA is number 5 in the world, let him prove it. I tweeted at him and I said, December 2nd in Detroit, RDA, let's do it. I got nothing back. It was like crickets. I got absolutely nothing back. The fans have been going crazy with it. And, that's a fight that needs to absolutely happen. He's not booked, so I don't see why the UFC will not make that fight. But if for some reason, he decides that he's on vacation somewhere, he doesn't want to fight until I'm booked for a fight, then it makes no sense for me to fight anybody else except someone that the fans actually care about, like Mike Perry, because I actually know Mike Perry won't duck me, I hope.
Right. By the way, before RDA, you were talking about Maia, and now Colby Covington is getting Maia. What was your reaction to that?
My reaction was like normal. I'm always content. That's the thing is I approach this game, with my mind, not just, I've mentioned thousands of times, I don't fight because this is all I have. I'm educated. I went to school. I can get a job. I can do anything else. I'm doing this because I'm a competitor. I want to compete. And, since I've been doing this game, I've learned enough to where I think I am the best in the world. And even at 40% right now, I think I beat anybody in the division. And if these guys ahead of me are smart, they would try to fight me now while they still have a chance, as opposed to letting me acquire as much more knowledge as I can, But yeah, Colby Covington getting that fight, I don't really give a shit. I don't care. I mean, I know I'm better than Colby Covington anyways. I know I'm better than Damian Maia anyways, because I called him out. Damian Maia was sitting literally 50 feet away from me after I just beat up the Brazilian in Brazil, called him out, and didn't get the fight. He said no. He didn't want that fight. And so now you're going to fight another guy who lost to the guy that I beat up right when I called him out. So, it makes no sense.
By the way, you mentioned, and I appreciate the fact, that you're so passionate about your career and you want to advance. I mean, that's a great thing. Worth noting, Francis Ngannou is, of African descent, and they seem to be pushing him as well. So I don't think that it has anything to do with the fact that you're from Nigeria, at least from where I'm sitting. I respect the fact that, you may feel that way, but you have to admit that they are really pushing Ngannou these days, right?
Yeah, but Ngannou's a heavyweight. It's different. There's a different intricacy that goes into it. Ngannou is a heavyweight, and I mean, really look at the heavyweight division. Who else is there? No one. But Francis is a beast in himself. Just an absolute monster. Just his presence alone. That's a guy that you need to have as a champion. You have to. You got to give him that shot to be champion, because there's no one else. Like he's cleaned out the division, or Stipe's cleaned out the division. So those two have to fight, and they have to fight in the immediate future. But for myself, I think there's a lot more guys in the division that they would want to be champion. I think they really wanted Wonder Boy to be the champion of that division, but Tyron Woodley was not about to let that happen. And Damian Maia, I mean, he was on a 8-9 fight win streak. Before they even gave him a title shot. I mean, tell me that guy didn't deserve a title shot 3 fights before he fought for that title.
Especially, they only gave him a month to prepare for it. Yeah, the whole game is filled with politics, right? I mean, you have to. Part of your career is sort of navigating those politics, right?
Exactly, and that's why I said I have a great management team, and Ali does a good job at trying to navigate through all that bullshit that they're putting out, but. Hopefully it's going to happen. But, I am currently I will be unhappy if RDA ducks me.
That's the one.
I will be very unhappy.
That's the one that you want.
He's the one. I mean, if he's sitting at number 5, which I think currently I should be, which I think I can beat the champion. But I think currently right now, number 5 needs to be next to my name for those casual fans who actually look at those and care about those rankings, until I get that title fight. RDA needs to see me, and if he ducks me like I know he will try to, then, we'll see what else makes sense.
Have you or your management, have you guys specifically asked the UFC for that RDA fight? I know you said that you tweeted RDA, but have you asked them for the fight? And if so, what'd they say?
Absolutely. I mean, this is what it is. We said, okay, you look at this streak, and then just look at who would you like to see me fight right now? Who do you think makes sense?
I love that fight. I said it after the win.
And fans want to see that fight. The only way that fight doesn't happen is if 2 people say no. If the UFC say no, or if RDA says no, which I'm sure he will say no. Because for him, that's like, which way does he win that fight? In what way? No way. There's no way for him to win this fight. And so he knows that. I know that. The fans know that. Everyone knows that. And so he's going to try to duck me. But we've asked for him. And, if somehow that doesn't happen, then, Mike Perry, I think, is a guy that the fans actually care about. And I think Mike Perry is a guy that that actually tries to fight, So he's going to want to fight. Hopefully he won't duck me himself.
See, I feel like it's all coming together for you now. That's why I'm jumping on the bandwagon officially today. In Buffalo, when I saw you, you were rocking that sweet outfit. Yes, today.
Wait.
Today, officially, September 25th, I am jumping on the Nigerian Nightmares bandwagon. By the way, back in the day, I used to rock the Nigerian soccer jersey. I was a big Sunday Olise fan. I don't know if you know this about me. I mean, I got that in my blood. That green jersey was the shit. You know what I'm talking about? The green jersey? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but you know, if you used to rock and you were such a Nigerian fan, how come you didn't get on the bandwagon when I came into the UFC?
Well, you needed to get my attention, and in Buffalo, you got the.
And I know Mike Perry's your boy too, so I know Mike Perry's your boy too.
No one's my boy. Come on, in Buffalo, Ariel. You were rocking that sweet outfit. You know, I mean, that was you were on point in Buffalo, and then the win, and then the call of the RDA. This is what I'm talking about. This is how you start to make some noise. This is great. It's all coming together for you in 2017. I feel good about it. I think that you said that you're content and you're happy, but I feel like you got a massive chip on your shoulder now. Now you're trying to get people's attention now.
Yeah, you know, I think for me, you know, like I said, I chose to do this. And so by me choosing to do this, I chose to forego everything else. I chose to forego that, you know, maybe 6-figure salary that I could have been getting somewhere else sitting in an office, you know, to do this. And so when I've been putting in all this hard work, I've been in the gym slaving, not just myself, my coaches as well have been putting in time and countless hours in me. You know, it's a slap in the face to not get the recognition that you deserve when you know that you've been putting in all that work. And so if you feel that there's a chip on my shoulder, that's probably what it is something I just don't like. You know, I've been putting in the work, and the body of work is it's proof in itself. Like I haven't lost a minute of any fight that I've been in, you know, in the UFC. And, you know, for it to not reflect in the way that they're pushing me or they're selling me my brand, then that's kind of a slap in the face to not just myself, but to my family and to my coaches that put in time and effort in me.
By the way, how is the training situation? Is it starting to all kind of fall into place in Florida now? You were once a part of the Black Zillions.
Training situation for me is never changed. Like nothing. The only change was, you know, the gym. Like we just, you know, everything. I've always trained with the same coaches. I still train with the same coaches. You see my corner, nothing's changed, you know, in my corner. It's, you know, Henry Hooft has always been my stand-up coach. George Santiago has always been my jiu-jitsu coach. You know, I'm wrestling with Greg Jones, you know. Nothing has changed. The only thing that changed is, you know, management and that big gym that we had down there at Jocko. That was the only changes. Now Henry has his own location, so we have a place to train. George Santiago has his own location, but nothing changes. You know, if I needed to train in the backyard or out in the forest, I'm gonna train because this is something that I chose to do. So I'm gonna get that work in wherever I can.
This one might be a little bit too, you know, out of left field, but, you know, you're looking for a big fight, a big name. It seems like Carlos Condit is ready to return to action. Is that someone that's on your radar? Did you see that last week?
Yeah, I saw that, you know, and when he tweeted, I added my manager in that, like, hey, this guy wants to come back into my division. Like, hey, what do you think about that? You know, and he saw it, you know, if that's something that he's interested in, then, hey, I'm not going to say no. Like, you know, he was once the interim champion of the division. So that's definitely a fight that I think, for me, I want the fight that's going to get me that title shot. You know, I think I'm deserving of it. You know, I think no one's been more dominant than I have been in the division. You know, besides Damien after he just took that L. Before that, he was pretty dominant, but no one right now in the near future has been as dominant as I have been in the division. And so I think if Carlos Condit, you know, that's a fight that he wants, then, hey, we'll do it. But RDA's, you know, he's coming off of a loss and that long layover. So, you know, I don't think it's probably a good idea for him. I think he needs to get his feet wet before he hits the ground running again. But RDA, I think, you know, he's been in the division now. He thinks he's felt some welterweights, you know. So, you know, I think it's time to put him up against the welterweight, and let's see how he pans out.
I love it. I'm officially on board, my friend. It took me a while, I admit, but I hopefully now that we have this understanding and water under the bridge, I love your backstory. You come from, you know, a place where a lot of fighters don't. I mean, they don't have a lot of fighters with your background, with your story, with your skills. The winning streak, the longest in the division right now. As you mentioned, you've got a great look, great fighting style. Why not? Why not now? Why not Kamaru Usman? They need to start pushing you. I think that they need to start getting behind you more. Start pushing the Nigerian Nightmare. You have a fantastic nickname. It's all coming together for you, my friend. I feel like it's going to end on a high note in 2017, and then 2018 will really be in that title mix. That's just my 2 cents.
I mean, I agree with your 2 cents. I think, yeah, why not now? You know, message for the UFC, message for the fans out there. Why not now?
Yeah.
Better get on the bandwagon before I become champion. And then you're like, yeah, I always knew he could do it. Yeah, no, you better get on now. Get on now.
Thank you, Kamaru. Great to have you on the show for the first time. Won't be the last time. Good luck getting that RDA fight.
All right. Thank you, Ariel. And let's put some pressure on that dude, man. Let's come out of vacation, RDA. Let's go for a walk down in Detroit. Let's go for a walk.
It's a lovely place to walk, especially in December. So I have a feeling he'll be accepting the call out. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Good luck to you.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right, there he is, the Nigerian Nightmare himself, Kamaru Usman, spitting some fire here. Great to have him on the show for the first time. As I mentioned, won't be the last.